afternoon, YouTube. It is a rainy day here in Salisbury, Maryland. I am the Peninsula Wellness Campus. My name is Anthony Darby, CEO of Peninsula Wellness, Peninsula Holistics, and Peninsula Alternative Health. We do a weekly lunch and learn. I bet we've been doing this now for at least 2 months. This is probably somewhere around our 10th one, maybe, about that. This will be one of the shorter ones. You know, they range between 15 and 30 minutes. The idea is that while you're having lunch, you could pop on, learn something about cannabinoid-based medicine or wellness in general, and get a little information while you're having your lunch and go about your day, something you can take with you. There's a little bit of value. Today's topic is about taking a tolerance break. I'm going to go in what is a tolerance break, why it matters, how does it work, and then how we can help as with our patient services team down at Peninsula Wellness, patients that may be struggling with getting the results that they're looking for utilizing cannabis. If it's something that you've been a cannabis user for a long time and you're realizing that you're not getting the same results, you know, a tolerance break is a great place to start. So for those folks that are unfamiliar, a tolerance break is when you interrupt your cannabinoid-based therapy and give your endocannabinoid system a little bit of a chance to reset. What I believe is one of the most amazing parts of the endocannabinoid system and our bodies is its ability to reset itself. Meaning that if you are using a lot of cannabis products and you are flooding your body with cannabinoids, you can get to a point where the receptors are not as receptive to those cannabinoids. The effects from those cannabinoids will be dissipated and you will need a lot more cannabinoids to get the same exact effects that you were getting before. This is a challenge for a lot of reasons. A, it means you have to use a lot more product. B, it means it's going to cost you a lot more money. And C, most importantly, it's unlikely that the same pleasant feelings that you were getting and the same positive outcomes from using cannabis that you were getting before will continue to occur. A lot of times, this can actually lead patients down a path where they want to kind of give up. I've seen this several times where patients will come in, they'll get on a regimen, they'll kind of throw our guidance to the side a little bit, they'll start heavily using cannabis, and then what they'll find is that they're no longer getting the same benefits that they were. Maybe they're waking up a little groggy, almost with like a hangover. They don't have the same mental clarity that they had. And these are all important signs that you want to be looking for as a cannabis user. So I try to be very cognizant about my endocannabinoid system and my tolerance because I am a daily cannabis user. I use high concentrate cannabis products, and I found myself through different periods of my life overutilizing cannabis as a tool or a crutch and other things. So maybe my exercise regimen slowed down. Maybe I wasn't doing the same types of activities that I was doing before to get the positive feelings. So you start using more cannabis. You know, I think it's important to go on record and say that there's a 100% a real thing with people that abuse cannabis. Like, there's people that abuse sugar, there's people that abuse everything. And you show me a chemical or something out there and I'll show you somebody that's abused it. So for us, in understanding, okay, well, what's the difference between someone that's using cannabis every single day versus someone that's abusing cannabis? One of those metrics that we're going to look at is how much are they using and how are they protecting their tolerance? Is this someone that started off in our program and they were utilizing, you know, 1/8 of flower a week and now they're smoking 1 ounce a week? And is that sustainable? And is that someone that we can really support as medicating in a proper way? Probably not. So a tolerance break is literally just stopping, giving your body outside cannabinoids for a certain period of time to help reset those receptors. When you use cannabis products, our body has an endocannabinoid system, we've talked about it a lot, and there's CB1 and CB2 receptors all over our body. Those receptors are where the actual cannabis molecules are taken into the body. Those receptors, if you think about it, are almost like a sponge, and as you give it more cannabinoids and more cannabinoids and more cannabinoids, those sponges get filled and it's less likely that they will saturate new cannabinoids coming in. When you take a tolerance break and you stop flooding the body with those cannabinoids, those receptors will start releasing the cannabinoids that are sitting on there, and you really start seeing a clarity in the body and a change in the body. And this is important, as I mentioned, because this is how you're going to make sure that your medicine gets extended. This is how you're going to make sure that you're getting the same exact quality outcomes from using cannabis that you were in the beginning. So it's oftentimes it's simple. It's depending upon how often and how much cannabis you're using is going to depend on how long you're going to need a tolerance break. So a lot of patients that are using heavy amounts of cannabis and really find themselves needing a major reset will look to about a 14-day window where they will sometimes cut out all cannabinoids, or they'll certainly cut out THC and move to just a CBD regimen for 14 days. And then when they go back to use cannabis after that 14-day break, it will almost be like very similar to their very first experience using cannabis. By that point, they will have almost gone through a complete reset of their endocannabinoid system, and the feelings and the effects modulated by using cannabis will be much more similar to when they were an early user to when they were overusing. For someone like myself to go that long without cannabis is pretty unrealistic. And whether it's my own personality traits or how I medicate, I personally have not taken a tolerance break of that long. I don't feel that I need to. I feel that for myself, if I find that the medication that I'm using is not giving me the exact effects that I'm looking for, then I'll typically take somewhere between a 24-hour or 48-hour tolerance break. It doesn't seem like a very long period of time, but you'd be amazed that if you're a daily cannabis user and you're using cannabis, several times a day, taking a whole day off, taking 2 days off consecutively, and drinking lots of water and doing all the other protocols that you may do with a typical cleanse. It's amazing the change and just that fast. And then for myself, what I find is that to go that long without cannabis is not a real tax on my body. I don't, it's not too big of a mental challenge. And then the rewards of getting back there are so great that when you're medicating the first time after that day or 2 day break, and you get the effects that you're looking for, and things feel good, and you have that mental clarity and the energy that you're looking for, the tolerance break can be a huge asset to patients. So if you are someone that's using cannabis and you are heavily relying upon cannabis for to medicate, it may not be something that you just want to willy-nilly just stop taking all of a sudden. The other piece of tolerance break is if you are finding yourself that you're physically dependent upon cannabis because maybe you have high levels of pain, you have an ailment, seizures, muscle spasms, those types of symptoms, you're going to want to work with a specialist. You're going to want to sit down with someone like Dr. Hoffman or Donnie Jackson, some with our patient services team, and really map out, okay, here's what I'm doing today, but I'm not having the same effects. It's not working as well as it once did. Okay, well, let's work on maybe reducing some of the medications, some of the cannabis that we're taking, and then go to a full stop, and then slowly but surely start working our way back up to make sure we're getting that relief. I say this a lot, it's a fancy word. Cannabis has a biphasic effect. If you don't use enough, you're not gonna get the desired effects, and if you use too much, you're not gonna get the desired effects. It's about finding that sweet spot, and so much of dosing, or so much of patient success is based around dosing, and a big piece of dosing is gonna be your tolerance. If you're taking heavy amounts and you have no tolerance, then it's going to be too much. And if your tolerance continues to build and build and build, and you're unable to give yourself more product, then you're going to find you're not getting the same results. It really is about finding that hybrid blend of working with the patient services consultant downstairs or online through Peninsula Wellness. Reach out to us if you're having these concerns. This is something that anyone that's going to be a long-term cannabis user really wants to take into effect. Be proactive about this. You don't necessarily need a tolerance break just when things start getting bad. Realize that, okay, cannabis has been a huge success for me. I've been on a regimen now for maybe 3 months or 6 months. Realize that your body is going to build up a tolerance, and that, being proactive about taking these breaks will allow you to save money. You're going to save medicine, and once again, you're going to have a better outcome, which is what it's all about. And this is, where I see a lot of patients that really steer off when they go into the dispensary, and all they're asking about are the high THC content flower and concentrate offerings. If you're flooding your body with a single cannabinoid of THC, and you're flooding those receptors with THC, That's going to put you in and not other cannabinoids, and you're not really addressing the need to balance your endocannabinoid system. You're just, quite honestly, getting high. That's going to be a big challenge, and you're going to find yourself, within several weeks or months in a situation where you're going to have to take a longer tolerance break to be able to kind of break that patternization that you'd built up over several months and reset your system and then get back to a baseline where you can kind of do it right. That's why it's so important when our patients come to us. We want to get them on a CBD regimen first. We really want to limit the amount of THC that we introduce to patients because we know that their tolerance is going to go up. We know that they're going to need more down the road. So if we can really focus on the sweet spot, that minimum effective dosing, where we give them a minimal amount of product to create the highest outcome that we can get, it gives us some wiggle room to be able to go up. Meaning, let's start a patient on 5 milligrams of THC instead of 10 milligrams of THC, because we know as their tolerance builds up, they're going to need to get to that 10 milligrams. But if that's our starting point, then they're going to be at 15 or 20 in no time. So for us and other dispensaries out there, there really is an obligation to make sure that you are setting your patients up with a minimal amount of THC and cannabinoids that are required to create those health outcomes, to make sure that you're having conversations with patients around tolerance breaks and making sure you're helping them maintain their tolerance. I think one of the biggest differences between a daily user and someone that's abusing is how they're protecting their tolerance, how they're dosing, and how they're maintaining their protocols to get the same health outcomes on a daily basis. So if you have questions about tolerance break, you maybe are wondering if this tolerance break would be a benefit to you, make sure you go to PeninsulaMD.com, reach out to our patient services team. You can message us on social media as well. Ask for a consultation with Donnie Jackson. We'll reach out to you and get you all set up. I'm Anthony Darby with Peninsula Holistics, Peninsula Alternative Health, and Peninsula Wellness. Thank you.